Capital News tonight. President of Zanzibar, Dr. Hussein Mwinyi, leads prayers for the late President Abeid Amani Karume. Prime Minister announces the end of 21 days of mourning for the late President Dr. John Magufuli. And in sports, Simba Sports Club midfielder Clatous Chama has been voted the best player of Matchday 5 of the CAF Champions League. Good evening. This is Capital News at 9:30. My name is Vanessa Victor. Let's start things off with the national news. The President of Zanzibar and Chairman of the Revolutionary Council, Dr. Hussein Ali Mwinyi, has led citizens in a special prayer for the late first President of Zanzibar, Abeid Amani Karume, that was held at the main CCM office building where he is buried. The prayers were also attended by top leaders of union government, including the President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Samia Suluhu Hassan, retired Presidents of Tanzania and Zanzibar, the Vice President of Zanzibar, leaders of defense and security forces, ministers, other officials and family members.
تجاوز عن سيئاته اللهم يا واسع الرحمة اغفر لنا وله وارحمنا وارحمه ووالدينا ووالديه واجعلنا وإياهم من الذين آمنوا بما أنزلت على رسلك ربنا اغفر.
Kwamba ilikuwa hivi na hivi kwa yoyote aliyetangulia. Je, kwa huyu aliyeasisi makubwa haya ambayo hayaelezeki, bila shaka tuna wajibu mkubwa wa kuweza kuyaenzi na kuyataja.
Marehemu Sheikh Abeid Amani Karume alikuwa anasema kwamba wewe ni Mwenyezi Mungu mmoja, huna mshirika, Amani Karume, ili mjalie wema na faraja katika makao yako mbinguni. Tunakuomba Mungu Baba Mwenyezi, utujalie tuige mfano wake mzee Karume wa kulipenda taifa letu.
Meanwhile, some leaders have expressed their views on developments 49 years after the death of the late Abeid Amani Karume, who was assassinated on April 7th, 1972.
Ambayo leo hii akizungumza utaweza kusema kwamba ukisikia hotuba yake leo hii kama alizungumza ile jambo jana.
If you listen to his speeches, it's like they were said yesterday. He had a huge vision back with Mwalimu Nyerere during the union of the two countries.
Nyingi na kwanza kabisa elimu bila malipo ni alama kubwa.
First of all, free education is a huge established mark. Up until today, in all these terms, education has been given freely and without discrimination. He also established free health services.
Tunapomkumbuka mzee Abeid Amani Karume, tunamkumbuka mtu muhimu sana kwa Zanzibar.
When we remember mzee Amani Abeid Karume, we remember a very significant person in Zanzibar. He was strong, he was one of the greatest men in Zanzibar.
Na wanaume wa Zanzibar au rijal ni mzee Abeid Amani Karume.
Prime Minister Kassim Majaliwa has officially announced that today is the last day of mourning for the former fifth phase government president, the late Dr. John Magufuli, while also commending media companies for the significant coverage done since Dr. Magufuli's death was announced by President Samia Suluhu Hassan.
Waita leo hii, nami nimeona nitumie nafasi hii kuwashukuru sana.
Calling you all today, I think I should use this opportunity to thank you all. After thanking the President with her guidelines that helped our country to stay calm, but also I thank the President of Zanzibar, Dr. Hussein Mwinyi, for his involvement and his government, together with the Vice President, as the co-chairman of the funeral committee, together with the ministers and member of the House of Representatives and all the other leaders. All together made it happen. Media houses also made sure that people are informed and stay calm. I want to assure you that not just the funeral committee, but the government recognized your contribution. We will be with you in making sure people are informed through magazines, online TV, and any other media, only for people to be informed. Let me thank the leaders of the leading party, CCM, without forgetting the family members, Mama Janet Magufuli, the kids, friends, and the family at large. Let me take this opportunity to thank the defense and security agencies. They made it easy up until the end.
Matukio yote kadiri ambavyo kamati imekuwa ikiratibu, vyombo vya habari tumekuwa pamoja, na kwa kweli hata wito wa kutulia, utulivu wao utokana na taarifa ambazo nyie wanahabari mmeutoa.
And hundreds of livestock keepers from 23 villages surrounding Lake Natron in Longido district, Arusha region, with banners containing various messages, have opposed the return of an investor who has established a hunting camp at Lake Natron Green Miles Safari on claims that he does not have a good relationship with the residents.
As investors of this area, we do not want the investor because he is revoking agreements that we reached.
Swala la ushirikiano katika uwekezaji ni jambo la misingi kuliko jambo lingine lolote.
Cooperation is very important in investment activities. We don't have a problem with investors except for Green Mine Investor because they are not cooperative with the government leaders.
Sisi kama wizara tuwaambie kwamba
as the ministry, we have received this complaint and we shall deal with it effectively. We shall have feedback on this matter by 15th of April.
The Inspector General of Police, IGP Simon Siro, has said that in the past 3 months, criminal offences have declined by 19.1%, with traffic offences dropping by 14% due to diligent performance of officers of the force.
Ukiona kwa miezi hii mitatu makosa ya jinai yamepungua kwa 19.1%, sio jambo.
In a period of 3 months, records shows that murder cases have decreased by 19.1%, while traffic cases also decreased by 14%. It's not a joke. These are results of drastic efforts that were made by the police force. However, cases of abuse are still on the rise. In combating such cases, our societies also play a key role apart from the police force. Thus, I am calling on religious leaders and families to give us support and cooperation. Apart from those crimes, also issues of drugs are on the rise. Commanders in Pemba, Tanga, Lindi, Mtwara, Dar es Salaam and Zanzibar must hold operations together to tackle this problem. We have enough resources and experts to put an end to this menace. Time has come for Tanzania to end issues of abuse and drugs.
Lakini makamanda wa mkoa wa Mtwara, kamanda mkoa wa Lindi, kamanda mkoa wa Tanga, Dar es Salaam na makamanda wote wa Pemba, makamanda wa Unguja, ni lazima mfanye operations za pamoja.
Journalists and media company managers in Morogoro region have commended President Samia Suluhu Hassan for lifting the ban on media outlets that had been closed for various reasons.
Hivi maisha ya kidigitali, watu wengi tunapenda kufahamu mambo mengi yanayoendelea.
In this digital era, we want to do follow-ups on what's going on, like getting information on what's happening in the world and what has been done. Like the tragedy of Corona, it was easy for us to be informed on how to protect ourselves with Corona. If not for the media, it could be hard for us to know how to deal with it. So I would say they are of great importance, and once suppressed, it is very hard for the citizens.
Tunaona kwamba kama alikuwa ni maneno tu kwamba uhuru unabana, sasa tunaona mama amekuja kuachia ule uhuru habari watu.
We can say the president came and she wants to see no more media suppression. She opened them, but she said they should follow the rules laid down by the government. In the future, as a journalist, it's time to say all that has been done by the government without fear.
Maadili yale waandishi wa habari itabidi tusimamie pale pale.
The Traffic Police Force has revoked the licenses of 10 drivers of regional passenger buses for constantly committing traffic violations and endangering the lives of passengers. The Traffic Police Force says the punishment is meant to also serve as a lesson to other drivers in the country.
Na utaratibu ni kwamba baada ya kukaa miezi mitatu pasipo kuendesha gari basi, akitaka kurudi kuendesha basi ataandika maombi, yatakuja makao makuu ya kikosi cha usalama barabarani. Tutayazingatia maombi hayo kwa kumuita kufanya tena mitihani upya, na tukijiridhisha kwamba amefaulu hiyo mitihani sasa na tukampima kwamba anaweza kuruhusiwa kuendesha gari, sasa atazingatia sheria, tutamruhusu kuendelea kuendesha gari.
NCCR Mageuzi political party has joined other Tanzanians in commemorating the death of the first president of Zanzibar, Abeid Amani Karume, and urged that the late president be remembered by continuing to maintain and strengthen the union.
Sababu matendo yake mema aliyoyafanya alipokuwa hapa duniani.
We shall remember him for his good deeds, especially the union matter. His leadership history is valid to date because as the country, leaders like him are still needed. We want to see our president's political and leadership capabilities on how she will manage to tackle COVID-19 pandemic. Whenever a disaster occurs, the only formula is to remain united. Other questions will be dealt with afterwards.
Residents of Kagera Ward, Kigoma Ujiji Municipal, Kigoma region have urged Tanzania Electricity Supply Company TANESCO to provide them with electricity services so as to reduce cost of operating palm oil processing factories.
The technology that is used now is the previous machines that are using diesel to process palm seeds and get palm oil. It is hard work to use these machines, but if we will get electricity, then our work will be much more easier. If we will get electricity, everything would be much easier, especially in getting services like hospitals, schools, and elsewhere.
Umeme kwenye hii kata ya Kagera tayari tumesha survey maeneo yote yale, mitaa yote minne.
In Kagera Ward, a survey has already been done for power installation. Right now, power installations are ongoing in Kidawe. Soon enough, we shall reach Kagera Ward. I urge residents to be patient.
Waomba wananchi wa Ujiji kata ya Kagera kwamba watuvumilie. Nategemea hivi karibuni tutaweza kuwafikia kama tumefika kwenye maeneo mengine yote.
And that's the end of the national news. International news is next. And now in international news. The government of the Democratic Republic of Congo has announced new talks with the United Nations Organization Stabilization Mission in the DRC MONUSCO, aimed at strengthening security in Beni, North Kivu. The DRC government also said it is also looking to see how more nations can send troops to the MONUSCO forces.
Raia wanataka tulete amani kwa haraka.
The citizens want peace. The government is in talks with MONUSCO and Beni. We were reluctant. We had Tanzania and Malawi, but we have added South Africa. They will add their troops. Kenya and their troops, so as to make sure FIB has been used with our army, so as to continue fighting with IDF and make sure we get victory.
Hiyo jukumu walikuwa nayo ya kuweza kusaidia government ya kwetu kwa kulinda wananchi.
That was their responsibility, helping our government to protect the citizens. We think they have failed because people are dying every day. More than 5 years in Beni, many people are dying, even more than animals. We are asking MONUSCO to revisit and see how they can be used.
Watu kuuawa kiolela na waza, na kwa hiyo ndio maana tunaomba watu wa MONUSCO waweze kuangalia namna gani wanaweza tena kurekebisha namna yao ya kutumika.
And border clashes between Ethiopia's Afar and Somali regions have killed at least 100 people in the latest outbreak of violence ahead of national elections in June. About 100 civilians, many of them herders, were killed since clashes broke out on Friday and continued throughout to Tuesday. The bloodshed in territory claimed by the Somali and Afar regions highlights security woes facing Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed that extend well beyond the ongoing conflict further north in Tigray. And looking abroad, Germany is, like many others, still scrambling to find a way out of the coronavirus pandemic. Public life in Europe's largest economy has been mostly shut down since November last year without managing to significantly bring down the infection rates. Though the country is hoping to take a much-needed step ahead in the fight against COVID. For more on this, we are joined now by DW's Nicole Froelich from Berlin. So, Nicole, vaccination efforts in the EU have become somewhat of a sore subject. Germany has now entered the second phase of its inoculation drive. Will this help the speed of vaccinations pick up?
Well, that is the plan and certainly the hope. As part of the second phase, general practitioners will be allowed to administer shots to eligible citizens. That sounds great, and it is a step many have been pushing for a long time, but there are caveats, and those are not to be ignored. For the time being, only 35,000 practices in Germany will be authorized to administer shots, and even though doctors say they are ready to hit the ground running, for starters, they'll only receive an average of 27 doses per week. That number will increase with time, but this still might not turn out to be the boost Germany's vaccination drive needs. The group of eligible citizens is still far too small to really curb infections, and the country doesn't have enough doses. That is why experts are now demanding another additional step be taken. They want to space first and booster shots further apart and use doses that were initially intended for one same person on 2 people. They believe that would provide basic protection for a segment of the population large enough to effectively push back against the virus and take an important load off the country's health system.
Germany has been in lockdown for over 150 days now. How much longer will it go on?
Well, that's an excellent question, and one many people here in Germany would like to know the answer to. There might not be a topic more hotly debated in the country at this point than the never-ending shutdown. Despite rising case numbers, some state leaders are currently trying their hand at an easing of restrictions. The western state of Saarland, for example, started a pilot project on Tuesday, reopening theaters, gyms, and outdoor restaurants for people with negative test results. Others continue to push for a complete lockdown until infection rates are suppressed. The latest politician to propose that was Armin Laschet. He's the head of Angela Merkel's CDU and the premier of Germany's most populous state. He came up with what he calls a bridge lockdown, a new term for a concept that has long been on the table. He made headlines last week after the chancellor publicly called him out on not following rules that all state leaders, him included, had agreed on. He then struggled to save face and has, over the Easter holiday, seemingly fallen in line. That back and forth is quite descriptive of the situation in the entire country. Measures are fought over, announced, never imposed, or apologetically retracted. And if that sounds confusing, well, you're not alone. 63% of Germans say they are disoriented by the current rules, and close to 50% would like to see tighter measures rather than an easing of restrictions at this point.
And in Germany, the military has been helping out in the fight against the pandemic. And now the Bundeswehr, the German army, has launched a controversial new volunteer scheme for domestic engagement. Can you tell us more about this?
The German defense minister launched the one-year Fight and Help program under the slogan, Your Year for Germany, which, according to her, is a flexible way of serving one's country. It's a combination of traditional basic military instruction followed by volunteer-specific training, and then at some point of the next 6 years, the volunteer will be called upon to serve for 5 months. Volunteers would only be deployed domestically and preferably close to their place of residence in response to natural disasters, health emergency like the COVID pandemic, for example, or even protection of property. Now, while those who came up with it branded as an opportunity to experience military service without fearing a deployment abroad, many civil society organizations who heavily rely on volunteer work have called the defense ministry out for their move. They accuse the army of trying to solve their recruitment problems by luring young, impressionable adults with money that some defense analysts say would be better invested in the army's infrastructure, which is in dire need of modernization.
Well, thank you, Nicole, for that update. And after this special report, let's go for a short break and we'll be back with business news.
Watch Business Edition as we talk to business leaders and experts in sectors that are transforming Tanzania's economy.
We believe that the driver is the customer.
To change the mindset of traditional HR to the digitalization.
Make sure that everybody can get some access to financial services.
And once we understand the vision of our leaders, we then need to be behind them and help them in achieving that vision.
Business have involved mercantile operations, trade guilds, or shared agricultural production, infrastructure, construction, financial sectors, tourism, and mining. Business Edition on Friday at 8:15 p.m.
And now in business news. Ministers of Minerals from 12 African member countries of the African Diamond Producers Association, ADPA, are meeting in Dodoma for a two-day meeting whereby Tanzania is expected to be handed over the chair of the association from Namibia.
Katika kipindi cha wenyekiti wetu tutajadili na kuhakikisha kwamba tunaboresha mifumo ya jumuiya ya ADPA ili kuweza kuwa na manufaa kwa nchi wanachama kama inavyokusudiwa.
And a group of 15 travel agents from Israel have arrived into the country to see how they can attract more tourists to visit Tanzania following measures being taken by the government to make the country a safe place to visit for tourists.
And today they're getting back to Israel with a great image of Tanzania, and they have shown the need of coming back in Tanzania in the future. Tanzania is ready to receive many tourists, just like how we were doing before COVID-19. We continue with the tourism, but with a great caution on corona, in making sure neither Tanzanians nor tourists are infected. There are no crowdings.
Production of coffee that meets requirements in the international market from Kilimanjaro region has dropped from 70 to 40% due to effects of climate change.
Upatikanaji wa kahawa iliyothibitishwa kwa nchi nzima.
Getting certified coffee throughout the country has been difficult, especially at armed cost groups, but big companies have managed to get the commodity for their special markets. It is true that specialty standard has decreased from 70 to 40%. This means that certified Arabica suppliers have decreased. What is currently available is certified Robusta coffee that comes from Kagera region. For Arabica coffee, we are now relying on Usambara, who produces organic coffee.
Ya sisi kama taasisi kwa kweli tuna mchango mkubwa kwa sababu kwanza
as an institution our contribution is big because we produce good quality coffee from the size of coffee beans to its taste. Market bean standard is AA or first grade A beans whose taste is most favorable at the market. As researchers, our main job is to search for seeds that have qualities that are needed at the markets in both domestic and international markets.
Hizo kubwa kitaalam tunasema kwamba zile double A's au A's za daraja la juu kabisa.
That's all for Business News. Sport is next.
Away first time, good start from Bolt. Bolt leading a moment and going away. Gay trying to go with him and he's going to be dragged through to second place, but he's going to win it by 2 meters. Away first time, good start from Bolt. Bolt leading a moment and going away. Gay trying to go with him and he's going to be dragged through to second place, but he's going to win it by 2 meters. Opposition, Joaquinho, he did lose and then